but just like on paper, he looks way too good. Like,
Okay.
he still denies like half the heroes in the game. You
So
counter way too much. Your team fight is very good. Spike Carapace counters like half the pull. Like you can't pick Batrider against this hero. You can't pick Ember Spirit against this hero. Like there's just too many things that it can be good against.
okay, so in that case, we just have to really shore up our laning phase in our pick of the cores.
Yeah.
Right? Like you really have to make sure that your laning phase is good from everybody else if you're going to pick this 4 position. And normally it's the opposite, right? Your 4 position usually bolsters your laning phase quite a bit.
I think I'm just like, but I do agree with you in the sense that like this hero, it feels like you get run over too fast nowadays.
Yeah.
Like on paper, yes, like Nyx seems to fill up a lot of things. But like the more that I see this hero, it can't win for some reason. And I don't really quite understand like why. And I think it's just because game speed is just too slow nowadays to play Nyx.
And that's kind of what these players are experiencing, right? We're talking about how some regions, their playstyle just isn't working for them. They have the same ideas, which is like, this should work, but it's not. And now we come to that fork in the road of whether or not they say, no, this does work, we just didn't play it correctly, or we just need to alter something slightly, or they take a different route entirely.
Yeah, it's kind of like Monkey King. Like China is obsessed with that hero, and
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
just like they'll third phase it all the time, third or fourth phase it, and then they get Batridered and they have to send it to the off lane. And I think so far I've counted like 6 games in a row that this hero's lost, or same with Faceless Void. So EG, see they do ban the Nyx. Like they do think this hero is good and is annoying, and they don't want Sumail to have to play against it. So the question now is like, do you just open up with the Spirit Breaker again? Do you take Lich?
It's got to be Lich, right?
They've
I don't
also
know.
identified that Death Prophet as valuable to VG.J as well, I guess.
It's because it doesn't really lose a matchup mid. It's like very 50-50 hero, and it does counter the roamers.
And VG.J have been playing it a lot lately. It does seem like the perfect kind of, in some ways it's the perfect core right now because it wins the laning phase and it gives you team fight and pushing power. Those are like the 3 things that we keep bringing up all the time. It's like your lanes have to go well, you want to be able to have a lot of team fight potential, and how are you going to be able to hit high ground? Like 1, 2, 3.
So they take SB, which I think is good against Lich anyways, because you can gap close on this hero really quickly and just be annoying.
You don't think isn't at the same time the ice armor really hard for Spirit Breaker, slowing down his attack speed and not really getting any physical damage in there?
I don't think it matters too much.
You don't matter too much? Okay.
Just like you charge in, you hit, you ulti, it's all the same. But it's like the speed of game. I still think VG should take it because I think Ice Armor's amazing and it does show up your laning problems. Like we saw Maneski use it to really, really good effectiveness.
Are you down for like
I'd be down for like Lich.
Lich Doom opening or something like that?
No, I'd be
no, we don't see much
like
Doom.
Lich Earth or Lich Nyx. Or Night Stalker, sorry.
Which of the 4 positions do you think is the best versus Spirit Breaker?
I think the ones that have the instances.
Yeah, I was thinking Earth Spirit and Earthshaker are probably the best because
Yeah.
they're stuns, stopping the charge in.
You might just get run over though if you take Shaker again.
Yeah.
I don't know. BG's taking like a really long time to think about this. So it's NS. What do you take then? Like NS Pugna, NS Lich? Night Stalker Bat was like a really favorite combo for a long time, but it's kind of fallen off.
If you don't get it now, though, it seems very likely Batrider is going to be banned away in the 3-4.
So it is Pugna. So like those are the only 3 options that you can take anymore. Like you either take NS Pugna, NS Lich, or NS Bath.
Because those are the cores that are in some ways infallible.
Yeah, and for
Right.
the most part, because Nyx is banned, like you're pretty comfortable opening with this. I thought it would have been Earth Spirit Pugna or Earth Spirit Lich, but NS is okay too.
Well, EG didn't seem that worried about the Pugna in the last game, did they? Because they left it in.
Yeah, it's because the Nyx though. They knew that it was going to be touched overall.
So what are the other counters to Pugna? Because we've seen a little bit of experimentation against Pugna, right? We saw somebody drafted Omni Knight against it.
Yeah.
Was that Complexity?
Omni was like 2 games.
And then there was 2 or 3 games of Oracle as well.
I think Oracle's a soft option though. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
think Oracle's not very good against it. I think Omni could be legit, but especially in this game with Night Stalker, I don't think Oracle's an option.
Yeah. Increasingly, like Dota's, I don't know. There's so much complexity to drafting. Like you need to fill in a lot of different areas. Like you need to be able to go high ground. You need some amount of team fight. You need like you need at least like minimum 1 stun. You need really good laning phase.
I've heard you say this a lot, right? That over the last like year and a half or so, you said versatility is really important. You need to have a well-rounded lineup as well. What is it about the game right now that is forcing us to be well-rounded? Why can't we just go in for all-in draw strats and stuff like that? Like, why can't we do that anymore?
It's like Dota's become so complex. Like we saw in the TI 6 era where Misery started doing this thing where he would pick Kunkka or Slardar, and you didn't know where those heroes were going necessarily. It was this concept of being open, quote unquote. So he'd take Naga, move it to 4 if he felt like that was necessary, and then sometimes it's Rezo's hero, and all of a sudden you think you're drafting against a 4 Naga, and it changes. And Dota's become more and more increasingly about hiding your picks more than anything. Unless they're these heroes that are like, that you deem to just be straight up OP, like the Spirit Breaker, you don't really care that you're showing them as a 4 or 5, right? But the fact that you can pick a Jakiro like this, and you have no idea where this guy's going, like he can go off lane, mid, support.
Don't say mid.
Yeah, he can go mid, dude.
So you're saying that openness in the draft allows you to be able to, if a lineup is very focused in one area, that you can kind of pivot.
Yeah, because in the past it was like you pick these heroes that were very limited in roles because they were good, and that's it. But then you kind of show the progression of your draft. You'd be able to say with confidence like, oh, that's definitely like a 2 position.
Yeah. Which then leads you to getting out drafted in
Yeah.
games rather than losing on merit, right?
So after TI6 we had this meta. It was like we will hide our picks, and so you think that you're going to see one look and you're drafting against that because a lot of picking is just counter picking, right? Like you pick one hero, I pick another hero that's better against it. But when you don't know what you're better against, like, are you countering a 3-position Jakiro or are you countering a 4-position Jakiro? Because if you're countering a 4-position Jakiro, now it's become a little bit more relevant. Like, who cares if you really counter a 4 or 5-position Jakiro? But it matters if in the laning phase this is a 3-position Jakiro that just messes with you. Right. Same with Pugna. Like Pugna, everyone is starting to see is like such an open hero because he's not just a mid hero anymore. Liquid ran him as a 5-position. Kuro played it. We see
offlane Pugna.
Yeah, we see offlane Pugna. Immortals and Navi really like offlane Pugna.
It was insane.
Yeah, and you can do safe lane Pugna as well. Like this hero goes anywhere, and this kind of openness has dictated so much of the meta in drafting, which is why teams like Mineski were so successful at the last event because they would pick NS offlane Night Stalker, and then they would pick a better 4 for the game. They'd pick like Clockwork, and so it messes with your head as a drafter. Then you no longer have these things in concrete. Before in the past, it was so concrete. It was like, oh, they pick Slardar. That's an offlane Slardar. What are we gonna do to counter offlane Slardar? Now it's like, that is a 4 or 5 position Slardar. Like, who the hell knows what's going on?
I feel like if we had the stats, and they might be out there, I don't know. If we went back 2 years and compared the amount of time spent in the draft, it would be much longer now.
Yeah. But there are some things that are consistent. Like Witch Doctor, hopefully, please, just be a 5.
Let's go, Aghanim Witch Doctor, baby.
Carry Witch Doctor.
I'm not ready to see like a mid Witch Doctor.
Get me a support void to set up this carry Witch Doctor, and I will be impressed and back your corner all the way, VG.J.
There's just like some stuff that in Dota, like, I hope never changes. Like, I don't want to see like, I've seen too many of my favorite heroes just like be turned into like pseudo 4s and stuff like that. I'm sad.
Like what?
Storm.
Like Night Stalker.
Night Stalker,
you
preferred him off lane?
Storm Spirit.
If I saw position 5 Storm, like, I'm shooting myself. I can't handle it.
No, it obviously would not be 5 position. That is unreasonable, Paul. It would be 4 position jungler.
Of course it would. Yes. Sorry, Austin, you're right.
It's like all these heroes that like used to be something, and then now they're just like moved down the
ladder.
ladder.
They're just relegated to another 4
Hey,
position.
dude, I'm just happy to see Jakiro in a few more games.
That's true.
I don't really care where he goes as long as he's not mid.
Every time like they make this patch and they introduce like some new heroes, and I know what their intent is. Like when you saw Monkey King first introduced, on paper it's
carry.
Like, of course he's gonna be a carry, and then everyone just like
this tree hopping thing is great.
Support.
Yeah, he's
Brilliant.
like roaming support. I was like, all right.
Jingu allows me to fight anybody in the Dota game. No one can turn on me. Huh. That sounds like a great support idea.
But that's like the beauty of it is that you can just turn
fantastic.
these heroes into anything you want.
And that's what's put more value on these early picks, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why those heroes get picked. as often as they do.
Exactly.
We're going to get a
So
Wyvern.
there's another hero. It's like, you don't
What do you know?
That is 100% supposed to be a support hero.
But
There's
can
no
be
way.
played in the offlane.
Yeah. And that's the absurd thing nowadays. And that's what keeps Dota drafting, like, probably the most interesting part of competitive Dota for me, is that these trends that you start to realize and like, why they matter so much, and the ability to, like, if you're one of the first teams that can do that, and that's such an advantage, right? Because you're not trying to just do what everyone else is doing. You're trying to always innovate in Dota. Otherwise, you're a step behind. You're not just trying to catch up. And that's why teams like Mineski were so successful, because they were able to swap this Night Stalker into the offlane. They were Ice discovered this Wyvern could go offlane. And most recently at the Starladder, Liquid just like turned Pugna into like a 4 position, 5 position. They don't care. When you're ahead of the meta like that, then it makes drafting really easy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, drafting feels like it used to be rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
As in, like, oh, you've picked that, so we need to ban this, and then we pick that, and then you pick that, so we pick that. Now it feels like 3D Star Trek chess.
Yeah,
Like
it's because
multiple levels of, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah, it's because IceFrog has opened the game up significantly. He's given you tools to be able to innovate your favorite heroes. Being able to introduce these Aghanim Scepters on heroes that changes them fundamentally, or being able to give you talents, which really opens up your opportunities to turn a support magic damage dealer into a right-clicking carry or something like that, or vice versa. Ember Spirit turns into a magic damage core because his talents are really OP when it comes to magic damage. But
yeah. So like right now, if you look at this lineup from VG, they have like, they essentially have like 4 heroes that could go anywhere. And that's like, that's disturbing.
Right now.
Like what, one of those heroes is either Arteezy's or Sumail's. Like, but you're not like, I'm like, well, what's going on here? Like,
okay, so in order to identify this,
sure.
I think step by step it would be
Spearbreaker
like
for
what cores would be best against, say, Bloodseeker and Pugna, since we know those are cores on
Clockwork.
VG.J. You want a core Clockwork.
I want a core Clockwork
against the Pugna, right?
And I want that is a support Spearbreaker, and I think Wyvern as a core is pretty nice here, actually.
Okay, why do you like that as opposed to the Jakiro core?
I'm not sure. I think that Wyvern can do pretty good against this lane.
I kind of, in my concept, I'm thinking about it like this hero just kind of like is able to stand still in the back lines, deal lots of damage. Bloodseeker and Pugna, they're both not going to be able to really close that distance so much. I feel like laning phase wise, you're going to be okay. I'm not going to say great, but okay.
So just in terms of what players have played, Universe has played an awful lot of Clock. Hasn't played Winter Wyvern, which
Okay,
would mean
so
that it isn't an offlane Wyvern.
then I think it's then it's like a mid Jakiro, or
Offlane
if they're
clock.
really crazy, it's a mid clock. And so I think it's probably a mid Jakiro, an offlane clock, Wyvern SB supports, Clinks.
the Clinks is on
Yeah.
Arteezy, surely.
Yes. it has
Jakiro
to
would
go
probably
there.
beat
Yeah.
Bloodseeker mid, right?
I'm sure it doesn't lose a lot of matchups, but this hero gets ganked early. And so
Oh.
they pick AM, and this is a pretty
Right, let's find out.
decent
So
AM.
Sumail is going to go Jakiro, so you're right. Yep.
Yeah. But that's like,
Oh.
it's so hard to call until that last hero comes
No,
out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So it
absolutely
is-
right about the offline clock, though. I like that choice. We talked about it at Starladder, how important it was to make this Clockwork a core against the Pugna.
Yeah. I thought there was like a brief moment where if they take a different hero last, then it could be a mid clock. I knew that clock has to be a core though. Like
Yes.
the Clockwork has to be a core in this
Yeah.
game.
Okay.
It was just the other interaction that I wasn't certain.
Very quickly, gents, predictions after that. I mean, it's hard enough getting through the draft.
Honestly, I don't know who won the draft. I'm not even going to try and make myself
Okay,
look.
I haven't got a coin, buddies.
Yeah,
Otherwise
so
I'd
no,
have you out of
no.
here.
I don't need a coin. I'm
Okay.
just going to go with Evil Geniuses
Okay.
because I think they're the better team.
All right, easily done. Will.
EG.
All right, 2 for 2. EG, get the vote here on the panel. Let's see whether they can wrap things up and make it 2-0 and head to the upper bracket final in Group B. As we head back to your commentary team.
Well, EG certainly showed their stuff in game number 1. I don't know what the hell they're showing here. This is insanity in the drafting stage, but I'm really excited for it. Fogged.
Dude, it's ambiguity at its finest. It's literally, you have no idea where these heroes are going until last pick, and then you're like, it makes sense now.
I mean, does it? Does it really?
Yeah, I mean, Cold
Okay.
Clockwork is incredibly good versus Pugna, versus Witch Doctor, versus Bloodseeker. These three get extremely punished during it. We saw it happening yesterday when Immortals picked the Pugna, and the Clockwork just went absolutely berserk. He killed the
Right.
Pugna like 3 or 4 times in the laning phase. And EG's got a very fast-paced lineup, again. And that's what you want to have with the Spirit Breaker. You can punish lanes really heavily with that.
No.
But Sumail playing Jakiro. This is a change-up for sure.
A little bit of a different one. And the other thing that we're going to end up seeing here is the Sylar Anti-Mage. So going a little bit more of the old school. This is a hero that's come around every now and then. Minescu's playing it a decent amount. Do you like it to pick this game?
It's a good AM game if he can get the time and his team can buy the time for him to get farmed. However, just because there's the lack of disables. However, I think he's going to struggle because Clinks is one of those heroes. We've seen people doing... I've been seeing a lot of like the Medallion into either Solar Crest or just Medallion into Desolator, and then you get like a Hex right afterwards. So you are that pick-off hero for Clinks, and that will make up for the lack of disable, if they get to that point, of course.
Right.
And I think this is also, they see the Bloodseeker, and then they decided, okay, we're going to put Jakiro mid, because Bloodseeker versus Jakiro, you suffer because of that attack speed negation. Dual Breath plus Liquid Fire, it really starts adding up, and you struggle to get those last hits. And the way that Bloodseeker wins his lanes is because he outlasts them because of the regen. So it should be a little bit more difficult. And looks like is Thunder actually going aggro here with this Pugna Night Stalker.
Yeah, it looks like it. And that's going to be a 1-1-1 versus the Anti-Mage with the Clockwork.
They're trying to do the same thing that we talked about with Bloodseeker. Get him those thirst stacks going, and okay, looks like they're going to back out of that lane. I think it's really tough. I think Night Stalker has to stay top, and Witch Doctor probably has to play between bottom and mid.
Yeah, we'll see if they head there after they help out with the blocking in the mid lane. Obviously, want to make sure that Freeze is able to get off to a decent start against Sumail, but already Wyvern moving in. Fear's playing it this time around with Crit being on the Spirit Breaker, and we'll have to see if they can make some trouble happen mid lane.
See how much this Pugna can get. We talked about it with Winter a lot yesterday. This Pugna it's a very strong hero right now if you can get an advantage. But if you're at a deficit, you just get absolutely punished super hard. You can just chain die over and over again. And it's a one armor hero versus a Clinks, who does one of the most physical damage in the game early on.
And there's even a charge coming through as well. That probably is going to be canceled. But a little bit of action coming in as the Wyvern dealt some damage there. And we can already see Bloodseeker just taking a lot of damage there in the mid lane. And it looks like he's still able to get some CS to regen up.
You definitely suffer though. Once level 3 comes out mostly for the Jakiro. Once you get that 2 points in dual breath, it's really tough for you to get CS.
Oh, is that a cancel of the charge as well over there by the Witch Doctor?
Yeah, you got the cask on crit.
Nice.
Having that high ground vision. They kind of lacked those river wards the last game. I saw them have one, but the Spirit Breaker had free roam kind of charging around in that early game. This time they're emphasizing more on that. At least Anti-Mage is going to have a pretty good time bottom lane and be able to farm quite well versus a Clockwork.
Yeah, 5-2 so far, and meanwhile Clockwork 1-4, and I think a couple of those were cogs as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Sumail's not doing so good versus the Bloodseeker at the moment, though. 9-6 on Bloodseeker already, and 6-0 on Sumail. It's not looking to work so far as this Jakiro mid lane, and Sumail in a lot of trouble here.
Definitely going to end up going down. First blood, I believe, unless they're able to slow him enough. No, Ayo finds that kill.
Uh-oh. That's not what they wanted. They wanted this matchup to be the exact opposite with that Jakiro in the mid lane versus Bloodseeker, but Bloodseeker proving to be that extremely strong hero as we've been seeing so much lately.
Oh, Fade, meanwhile, over there gets the rune denied by Fear, and then Fear gives him a little bit of the taunting as well, just to show his stuff up here top. A little bit of a battle going. But yeah, the Bloodseeker apparently quite a good hero in the mid lane, and I guess it's just the damage advantage that you get.
Yeah, I mean, Thirst starts adding up if you harass the other lanes at all, and he just has such high damage, base damage now, on top of that Blood Rage. They're putting a lot of, they're just throwing spells onto Arteezy to make sure that he's low health so that Bloodseeker gets out of control. But now, Sumail is level 3, that's where the dual breath starts kicking in a bit more. But Bloodseeker has a lot of movement speed and a lot of damage right now, and Sumail's taking a lot of tower hits.
Yeah, he needs to be real careful.
That's where Bloodseeker gets more attack speed, or more damage.
Top lane, Decrep onto the Spirit Breaker to make sure that Yang can get away. And that little Pugna man, he runs away rather rapidly, as Fade is also going to try and get away from Fear and Crit. Looks like this top lane going pretty well for them as well.
Yeah, the mid matchup is the big deficit. Sumail at a heavy disadvantage at the moment.
Well, that's the thing, is sometimes you're willing to accept that, but it's usually coming because there's, you know, good stuff going on in the other lanes. And every other lane's kind of working out fairly even. How concerned are you for EG, considering that, you know, the anti-mage is getting farmed, that mid lane, the Jakiro's hurting?
Definitely a bit concerned, because they're not punishing the Pugna either, and it's going to be turning into nighttime soon, and that's where Fade can run around and try to make plays and punish the Jakiro a bit more. But this Bloodseeker is just absolutely having a blast in the mid lane. Just getting a majority of the denies. Even though Sumail has high base damage on Jakiro with those spells as well to push out the lane, it's not enough to deal with Bloodseeker when he gets this such a good start.
Yeah, 28 and 11 already, and able to push Mr. S back. Poor little Sumail, still getting the denies there, and all the regen in the world. How do you transition this into a better start for them? Is it just like find kills now with Night Stalker?
Sumail's getting heavily harassed. Yeah, they can just run around between like any of the lanes. I think pressuring the Clinks is decent, but you have to watch your positioning.
Well, he is taking a little bit of damage there onto Fear. They bring in Yang as well, and meanwhile, AO trying to get away from them all as well. Can he actually make his escape, as it looks like he's going to have to eat his way through the trees? And, well, he jukes him out. EG went the wrong way, and AO feeling pretty lucky to be alive.
But look at Bloodseeker's movement speed. 500 movement speed right now, 150 damage. Sumail's going to get gone on here, even though he has a DD. Charge is coming out, though, but it's from the base. Sumail might actually just die here.
Oh, the slow movement speed and attack speed, though. Can he actually find this kill? It looks like he will be able to and get out, so...
Now I'm very concerned.
You're real concerned. Okay.
They wanted the exact opposite to happen out of this lane matchup. They wanted the Spirit Breaker charge to come in with the dual breath liquid fire and the Bloodseeker to be low HP, and they try to get the kill when he's trying to get the last hits, but it's not happening at all. And now the laning phase is completely screwed now for the Jakiro. It's level 6 already on Bloodseeker. And they're going to be setting up to go for some plays here. Crit tries to charge in, but there is a Rupture available.
Oh, Crit now trying to TP out. They'd already used the Void, though, so no way to break that one. He is able to escape, and that means no Rupture for a little while.
Beautifully done. And now Jakiro kind of can't do much at all versus this Bloodseeker. They're going to have to commit heavy rotations to try to punish him, but almost level 7 to the level, almost level 5 Jakiro. And he's already got Belt, he's got Aquila, Boots. Very farmed Bloodseeker and Anti-Mage, as we mentioned. He does perfectly fine. We haven't really looked at this lane much, but he does fine versus Clockwork. Clock also gets farmed, because once you get low mana, you just right-click the AM back.
Well, top lane now also. They've found themselves the Clinks. The stun is there. They've got everything necessary to find that kill, and Yang is the one that picks it up. All things rolling good for VG.J in this game.
Yeah, all 3 lanes, for sure. Universe is the only one who's having a great time. Clinks is getting punished. The Pugna is free farming top pretty much, 27 CS.
Uh-oh.
Mid lane they try again, but he's still very tanky.
He's got the silence out there already as well, and now the Rupture onto Crit. He doesn't have a TP this time. Yang is coming in as well. He actually turns onto Sumail and moving rather rapidly, able to dodge away from the dual breath as well. Mr. S, nowhere left to go. Can they find a kill? Double! Yang hits it, 2 for 1.
This is a devastating start for EG. Pugna, we said that the way the Pugna suffers is if you kill him a couple times early on. But now this Pugna has Arcanes, has Soul Ring finished up if he wants, whenever he wants to buy those Arcanes, that is. And he's very strong versus Clinks. And they're just continuing to go on top now. With just 2 supports, they're going for Arteezy here.
Oh my god, the damage is there. They've got everything that they need, and they find another kill. I'm retreating.
Oh, they're feeling confident now, for sure. Like, they're killing the safe lane carry with 2 supports. EG is in a very devastating position. They have to start using Universe to catch them back up in this game. It's really all up to him to get these pickoffs and make sure that Sumail and Arteezy can farm back in this one. But they're playing it with, like, they wanted to have lane dominance with their Spirit Breaker Jakiro Clinks, because their mid game, or the later stages of the game goes completely in favor of Thunder. They have a Bloodseeker and an Anti-Mage. If the game goes well for them, there's no way that EG can do anything in the late game. They have to be making these moves now and trying to get back into the game. 6-0 advantage for Thunder.
They do catch sight right there of the Bloodseeker, and they don't know about the Pugna. Now they see that the Pugna's coming in. Yang is there as well. Are they actually going to be able to find this kill, though? They charge through. Actually gets pushed outside of the cause. Yang is going to live there, and Crit going to be brought down. They get the kill. Everything that could have gone wrong there went wrong for EG, and now Sumail again ready to get dove and going to be brought down.
It's 8-0. And this is the beauty of having Night Stalker. The first nighttime ends now, and they've done a heavy amount of damage with him as well as with just the Bloodseeker in general in that mid lane. That's such an advantage. And we talked about the anti-mage being a very hard hero to kill in this game, but it's looking like the Bloodseeker is going to be that as well.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, last game, it felt like it was so bad for VG.J right out of the get-go. Is it a similar situation where they don't really have a ton of catch-up mechanisms for EG, or how do they deal with this going forward now?
They have to just I mean, Universe has to set up. He has to just get kill after kill with the hookshot to make space for Clinks to get online, because RTZ is getting massacred in top. Bottom lane, or mid lane, Sumail is getting massacred. It's pretty much their... They kind of lost all 3 lanes, to be honest. Because Anti-Mage versus Clockwork is a bit of a trade, but, I mean, AM is happy with when he's trading farm.
Well, they're coming down here to the bottom lane yet again. Seems unlikely that they're going to be able to find a kill on the AM, although Battery Assault there. He's able to blink away. Sylar still living. And in the meantime, top lane, they're just sort of punishing here. Actually, they do go back in now onto Sylar. The charge is coming through. Does he have himself another blink? Trying to get the kill. The badge is there, but it's not enough. Top lane, they find Arteezy. That's going to be a kill onto him. 9-0. 4,000 net worth lead for VG.J.
Yeah, this is really bad. They just use their hook shot. They don't find the kill in the aim. It's a very unlikely kill that they can even go for.
Oh, charge! Is it gonna get some getting out?
That was split second.
Oh no!
Whoa, God, split second getaway. They need to get kills to come back in this game, and they're not getting any alleviation. They're gonna now start losing their tier 1s as well, because Pugna is a monster, and it looks like he's gonna be going for the Aether Lens. No, actually, he's gonna be going for the Force Staff build first on the Pugna. So, Universe has to be the saving grace for EG, and Vici Thunder is already itemizing to counter the only way back for EG. It's looking really problematic for them.
Yeah, and, well, you know, you pick this Jakiro mid, you want to try and, I'm sure, get the tower down at a reasonable time, but it's just so difficult. And now a rupture onto Sumail. The charge is coming through. The silence is there, long duration, and now a follow-up one as well. Jakiro is going to die, and Crit maybe even going to end up being brought down as well, or they just call off the charge. They know that they don't need to push it too hard here. Already in such a great position.
It's time to try to just set up ganks with Death Pact, with Universe, and that's the only way EG can come back. But it's looking really bad because Bloodseeker, Pugna, AM, top 3 the net worth, and they have the late game, and they have the tower pressuring heroes as a better advantage over EG. So yeah, so Arteezy is gonna have to play as the ganking Clinks now with Universe, which is not the way they want to play. It's just their whole game plan has pretty much been screwed up for EG.
Man, I mean, you
Hook
look
comes
up
in
here,
though. He does find Yang.
Decent way to start this one out. Universe going in deep. Can he kill off Yang? It's going to come through with Crit in the area, and they do manage to take him down. Now also Fade in trouble. So they lose 2 heroes there, and now also maybe going to end up losing the Bloodseeker. They found themselves another kill. EG striking back big in the mid lane, and they take down 4.
5-mana lane. Play away. Like, Anti-Mage is the hero that you can't really kill. Try to take advantage of the fact that he can't really get into the game. And perfect usage of that daytime. Everybody just collapsing. And this is why we say Clockwork is so good versus the Pugna. If he's able to isolate him in the cogs, that's the way to kind of come back. And that's a huge swing.
I mean, it's not a bad thing when you get your first kill to take 3 others after the fact at the 11-minute mark. And yeah, just timing everything perfectly together there.
Yeah, everybody collapsing on top. And for the most part, this game has been Thunder leading the charges and making all the aggressive moves. And now finally EG finds the opportunity, and they even claim a tier 1 afterwards because of that 4-kill advantage there.
Well, the thing that we still need to talk about and might be a little bit worrying is Sylar's continue to get free farm. As AO's going to run into Fear, they find Malphus as well. A hell of a lot of damage, and that should be the death of him in the fountain, I would imagine. Oh, Cold Embrace, all right.
He's okay.
Fear's a liver.
Yeah, it's only 2 levels in Maledict. It's not the 3rd point. Maybe the 3rd point might have been enough to take it out, but either way, it's a nice play by Fear there, surviving at the base with that freeze. Bottom, the charge is coming out.
Oh, big kill if they can manage to get this one. It's a lot of physical damage onto Sylar. He does get the blink away, but will he be able to escape fully? They've got eyes on him. The Clockwork Flare.
Universe is going to try. Sylar, though, now in the trees. And yeah, smart play by Sylar, jumping right. Universe goes left. Crit was very close to having 6 there. If he's 6 or they have a level in Ice Path, that's an easy kill on the Anti-Mage there.
Well, nothing comes for free. They force the AM out of lane, but they take the mid tower in return. Meanwhile, EG pushing bottom, and VG.J, they want to fight this.
They've got no hook shot online. They have Winter's Curse, they have SB ulti, but this is scary. It's nighttime.
Oh, they're going the long way around as well. They're actually going to break the smoke now onto Yang, but will they be able to scout him out? They move in. Night Stalker gave in the vision. They spot out Crit. They spot out Sumail as well. The silence is there onto the Spirit Breaker. They've caught him for the moment, and now actually interrupting as well with the caskets bouncing back and forth. Crit is already dead. It looks like Sumail is also going to be ran down here if they get vision onto him, and
He accepts his death.
Pyre, he knew it was going to happen. Maybe even going to be able to bring off Yang? No, they've got the ulti coming out there as well. Arteezy starting to deal a little bit of damage. He wants to bring down one of these guys, but has he run to his death as well? Fear is here. Gonna need to TP out. Yang still trying to live, but will be eventually killed.
Much needed pickoffs though. Like getting these kind of trades is fine at this point because of how far behind they are. The Pugna is sitting at the top of the net worth as well, so Arteezy gets a nice bounty for that one. And he's starting to transition a little bit more. You know, he's got the medallion finished. He's gonna have the Solar Crest soon, and that's where this hero gets really out of control. When you get your level 2 Death Pact in Solar Crest on top, you can actually kill heroes before they can even react most of the time. One disable plus the Clinks. Like Spirit Breaker plus Clinks can pretty much kill any of the heroes on the side of Thunder. And some deep aggressive wards did get placed by AG during all this advantage that they have kind of brought back in their favor.
Right.
But still, of course, sitting at a deficit of 5,000 gold and 4,000 experience as well.
And, you know, you talk about this Anti-Mage and him getting into the Battle Fury pretty quickly. You mentioned it was a relatively free game with, like, the Spirit Breaker and Clinks. Does that kind of have the capabilities of killing him off as, you know, Arteezy gets more farmed, or do you not
definitely.
think so?
That's the thing, is like Spirit Breaker has those 2 forms of lockdown, and Clinks does insane amount of physical damage, which Anti-Mage is susceptible towards. So they still can definitely find those pickoffs as long as they see him. So it's just really about the warding game for EG to get the sights of the Anti-Mage to set up. You see right away, Crit is drawing the line, predicting where Sylar's going to go to farm, and they might want to try to set up on him. But Sylar goes a different route. But they do have vision of him, so it's really important, the wards in this game, for EG to kind of come back in that.
Right. Bottom lane, though, Fade, he's found himself a Jakiro. Fear is off to the side as well with the Cold Embrace. Doesn't have enough mana for Winter's Curse. Fade actually going to cancel his TP. And with Spirit Breaker coming in, this might end up being a dead Night Stalker unless the rest of his teammates want to stay there to help him out a little bit. Witch Doctor ultimate down as well. Onto Crit. There's the Winter's Curse. Turned it back around. Universe in the area as well. He gets the hook shot in, gets the push back on the cogs, and has caught himself Yang. But the Force Sap keeps him alive. That's going to be Crit dead as well. Sylar decided to show up to this fight, but already the Night Stalker dead, and Sylar going to need to blink away. Bloodseeker also running away. Clinks is a big bad man, and they need to get the hell out of there.
Oh god, he blood raged. He blood raged Arteezy as he was hitting Yang. That got scary for a second. Yang taking some really solid hits. And all right, Arteezy's adjusting his build, so he's going for the Diffusal Blade this game versus the Decrepify, and the Mana Burn is pretty damn good versus Anti-Mage too, because of how fast Clinks does attack. But they're slowly but surely finding some comeback kills, and they're the ones leading the pressure, which is really important. That was entirely the nighttime of Thunder, and it was pretty much EG having the aggressive stance.
Oh, look at this as well. Clinks is setting up right now into Sylar, but they let the blink away right before Crit gets there.
I think that one's a hard kill. They don't have the Death Pact online. They do not have the Nether Strike. That would have been a pretty hard one for them to kill, to clean up.
Yeah, backing out now. Clink's just going to go back to farming. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Wyvern can push out these lanes pretty consistently with the 4 points in Splinter Blast. Next couple of minutes, how do you see this playing out for each teams?
Well, it is daytime, so EG is playing really well around their vision, so we'll probably see them continue to do that. And Sylar has to be pretty careful here, but he is actually okay. Nice TP coming out. As for that, I think EG should be just fine being able to defend just because of that Splinter Blast. I think this is going to be really important that Fear sits bottom, just constantly nukes the waves in. Sumail spams his spells to push the waves in as well, and then they can find natural pickoffs with Spirit Breaker through that. Because it's the biggest problem has kind of been halted a bit for EG, where the Bloodseeker was going out of control.
Sumail finds 2 with the Ice Path and the Macro Pyre down. Crit is also in the middle of this. They are going to take down that Jakiro, and Clink's just going to be forced away. The dust coming a little bit later. Sylar shows up there. Nether Strike onto Ao, the Witch Doctor, under control, but can they run these heroes down? They're going to be able to chase down the Clinks, and that should be a kill onto him. They blow up Arteezy.
EG has to slow the pace down still. That's the one thing. They can't really fight into the Bloodseeker, as I was mentioning. They have to just be able to push the lanes out and try to find opportunities with them. But if they take a heads-up fight, Thunder is still at a big advantage whenever they pop that nighttime.
Yeah. Well played there as well. And it was kind of a weird initiation, too, because that was VG.J with their smoke broken, and EG still deciding to take that fight. They thought that they were in a little bit better position. So Blade Mail is there for Universe on the clockwork. Certainly solo kill potential, but it's again just about finding the right target.
It's tough, you know, like we said, the Force Staff was picked up so early on the Pugna, so it does counteract a lot of what Universe can do without any assistance from his teammates. But yeah, Vision is going to be incredibly important in this game, as was mentioning, just so they can see when they can get those pickoffs, because that's what EG's lineup kind of breeds on still at the time. They need a long time for them to just be this team fighting team. They have Clockwork, Spirit Breaker, and Clinks. Those 3 heroes they're not really about team fight, they're about pickoffs.
Now, the smoke up as EG heading towards the top lane. They're trying to find themselves Sylar, but he's actually up here by the creep wave now, and if they can manage to get him.
TPing in into 4 heroes.
All right, well, that's a problem. Bloodseeker dropping very low and will not be able to survive that.
So I think, okay, so that was EG that threw a scan initially in that area. They didn't catch anybody, and then they claimed the position onto the high ground.
Got it.
So that was a clever little maneuver they had going there.
The story doesn't really change that much for VG.J. Just get the anti-mage farmed, and he is getting towards that Mantis style.
It's a big kill, though, the Bloodseeker being dead. That alleviates a lot of the pressure off EG, as we mentioned. The Bloodseeker is the big way that Thunder can fight into EG's lineup, even though they have such an advantage.
So then at this point for EG, are you trying to move around the map and get some more objectives? Or do you just try and find another pickoff on the Bloodseeker?
I don't think objectives are... Yeah, I don't think objectives is what they can do. It's just pickoffs. Push lanes out with Splinter Bash, push lanes out with Macropyre / Dual Breath with Veil, and then just when they see heroes isolated with their good wards and vision that they should be getting from Rocket Flare as well, that's where they can try to just pick offs. Yeah, Spirit Breaker, Clinks, pick off team.
Okay. Fade in the meantime, he's going to be scouting things out. There is a ward placed down here. It might have been within vision of this other Obs ward, although you basically have no vision at darkness anyways. EG moving top.
They saw Night Stalker in the mid lane, so they wanted to make an aggressive play onto Yang.
All right, charge coming through. They've got him caught for a moment, but there's the Force Staff.
There's
the decrep, and now the cast bouncing back and forth. They're trying to bring down Yang. He does eventually fall, but now Arteezy in a little bit of trouble. The Macropyre down. Sylar is able to escape, taking this fight into Bloodseeker. He's going to be a bit of an issue, as also Fear is here and trying to turn it back around. Universe shows up. They're able to connect onto the Night Stalker. They lay down a pretty decent silence, but this fight going okay for EG as they take down 2 and only ended up losing their Clinks.
Sylar he tried to stand toe-to-toe with Arteezy, and he almost dies in that situation, and a lot of his mana got burned from the defusal, but the nice defensive Force Staff from Yang puts it into a harder way for EG to take the fight, but either way, with the sheer amount of heroes that they had there faster, they're able to take a little bit of an advantage for EG. Any trades are pretty good for them here. Sylar closer and closer to Manta. That's when it's going to be really tough for them to bring him down.
Yeah. Well, and just thinking about where he goes from there afterwards too. It's here's that little initiation, and like you're talking about, Sylar maybe biting off more than he could chew. What was that? Just 3 shots basically.
Yeah,
2
3
shots.
Hits. Fade comes in though, and they have so much magic damage to deal with the Clinks early on, and it was it was at a tower.
Right.
But then Universe shows up. Great positioning, and during all this, Witch Doctor wasn't really there. He got zoned out of the fight because he had to take a weird maneuver. He had to walk all the way around so he didn't walk through the Macropyre. So next itemization, Crit gonna be going for the Shadow Blade. We said pickoffs. That's all he's gonna be really doing, looking for that anti-mage, looking for whenever anybody splits up, and Arteezy, so he can actually be in these fights because he dies super fast. All the magic damage that Thunder has he's gonna be itemizing for a BKB next.
Yeah. Against the Pugna, Night Stalker, even the Witch Doctor stuff is a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean he can defusal off the decrep if it's put on the allies, but if he just gets decrepped, then it's like he just takes incredibly high magic damage and can't attack either.
I guess the other thing you need to be a little bit worried about at this point for EG is if you lose another decent-sized fight, Thunder could think about going in for Roshan. They've got the medallion on the Witch Doctor now, and you ensure an Aegis for the AM. He's going to be able to farm up till he's really unkillable. Yeah,
I mean, both sides kind of have that going, right? Yeah. They have the medallion with Clinks, and they have Blood Rage plus medallion on the side of each Thunder. But yeah, EG is still definitely at a pretty big disadvantage in this game. But they're slowing down the pace of the game a little bit and finding decent pickoffs. But now, set into the rush they go. Like, EG does not know this is going on. They have no wards or no vision, but the rocket comes out. Universe has an idea and scouted. He's trying to TP to go for a snipe, but just late.
Well, Sylar Aegis, it was a DD on the Clink, so he's able to finish off this tower in short order. Actually, it's Sumail that gets the last hit there. And
now it's Sylar with an Aegis. So they wanted to be able to set up for the anti-mage, get some pickoffs on him, but he's 2-0 and 2, hasn't died yet, and with Manta, with Aegis, it's a very hard way to EG to bring him down.
so do you try and go for the Bloodseeker now before you get to the BKB, or do you just not try and fight at all?
Still, it's kind of the same story. It's unfortunate for EG, but that's because of how poorly the lanes went for them. They have to just play for pickoffs. Can't really take just head-on 5v5 fights. You have to just play at a numbers advantage.
Yang here drops down his ward.
In order for EG to really take fights, it's going to be like when the Aegis is gone and when Arteezy has BKB finished. Those are the two big factors that they need.
Okay.
And it's still going to be tough fights for sure. And EG. Top lane. The ward is placed though by Yang, and Sumail gets hit by it when he casts a spell. So they are going to build to back off and not have any casualties at the moment.
Yeah, I was wondering about that ward placed. I guess they're just hoping that somebody was going to walk forward and they'd be able to catch him out of position, but nonetheless.
EG playing under all of Thunder's vision though. That one ward is literally seeing all 4 heroes at the moment. And they're going to walk up and... Are they looking for it? Smoke? It doesn't look... They don't have a smoke, so it doesn't really seem like that. Oh, they did actually on crit, but yeah, they're not looking to smoke still. Arteezy's probably like, I need BKB. Like,
Yeah.
Basher now
He's not wrong.
on Sylar.
Yeah, Sylar just continuing to be a menace, and with the Manta style done, going to be going into the Vanguard next, I guess, to finish off the Abyssal Blade. Can blow up just about anybody when he completes that one, and honestly, probably right now as well.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if VG.J, do you feel like they need to do anything to sort of secure their lead at all, or keep up more of the same? Do they need to try and find pickoffs themselves?
They can fight with their Aegis if they want to.
Yeah.
I think that they're fine going into the later stages of the game. I mean, they've got the Anti-Mage Bloodseeker matchup, Anti-Mage and Bloodseeker into later stages versus minimal catch on the side of EG. So I don't think that they're in a rush of the game, but pressing your advantage is fine with Aegis. And Arteezy, he breaks the smoke,
Yeah.
but no one in range to catch him.
Pop Darkness, they're also bringing in Fear to this bottom lane. VG.J still under the cover of a smoke. AU walking forward. They drop down a ward. They keep vision. Oh, he blinks into it. Ice Path somehow still got a little bit of a clip there.
Claiming some outer tier 2s.
Well, are they really trying to take this further? Crit's there. They see him. He's invis now, but not for long. And now the countenance are going to start to bounce all over the place.
Oh,
it's a
Arteezy's
decent
in
macro
trouble.
fire, but it's not nearly enough. And now they've got him caught. Arteezy going to end up going down. They drop the Winter's Curse, and that's going to be the Night Stalker dead. But it might come at a big old cost. There's a big jump forward from Sylar. Killing spree for him. They have the silence down as well, going to clip onto one. Fear is dead, and now Clockwork going to die as well. Everything going wrong for EG in this game number 2.
Like we said, they can't take fights. Head-on fights are impossible versus Thunder when they have this much of an advantage. Without BKB and Clinks, he gets ruptured, Cask starts bouncing, and he's just dead to Pugna as well. And they can start threatening a bit of the high ground now too with Pugna here. It's looking very problematic. EG's not really having too many ways to get back in it, because we've said this time and time again. If you lose all 3 lanes, the game's going to be pretty tough. They kind of lost 2.5 lanes, and they don't have the team fight lineup, so it's not like they can come back through team fights, which is one of the things we used to always say too, is like, if you're at such a deficit, you can kind of take these big fights, and if you do win one big fight, you can start coming back, but they can't fight head on at all. They have to just do pickoffs.
Now, Crit going in deep for this one, and they're also bringing in Sumail. Yang going to go down.
To get
all right.
one little pickoff in the back lines from Crit, and he canceled 2 TPs.
Yeah, maybe they can find themselves another one here. It's a 12,000 net worth lead, but EG striking forward, wanting to find themselves a kill. The stun comes out. There is going to be a silence out as well, though, and Arteezy, is he going to get caught out now? They're trying to go for the ulti coming out from Sylar, able to dodge away from the Ice Path. Now he's got eyes here onto the Wyvern, and Sylar, he's going to end up getting away from that one, it looks like.
He's got Aegis, he's an AM, he's the minimal amounts of lockdown on EG, as we've mentioned. Yeah, it's really tough for them to kill Sylar. At least they got 2 pickoffs, though.
Yeah. And the Aegis was going to expire in about 15 seconds from that point as well.
Mm-hmm. So they pressed their advantage quite nicely. Getting the melee racks, getting multiple kills as well. EG's just struggling. A team that loves to team fight and just unable to team fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's 7,000 net worth ahead of the next highest on the enemy team for the anti-mage. And I mean, it's just an anti-mage game. He got what he needed.
He got all the space in the world. They had a Night Stalker Pugna pressuring the off lane. Bloodseeker dominated the mid lane. I mean, how often do you see Sumail 0-8?
Yeah.
It really just doesn't happen. He is really struggling in this one.
So are we going with the hashtag Paul was right, Jakiro mid?
It didn't go the way they wanted it to. Just everything in their entire plan that EG had for the laning phase just didn't happen.
Yeah.
I will never say Paul was right. That's pretty much what I'm getting at.
All right. Well, inverse scores 21-12. All of EG up here in the top lane, and unfortunately, Fade is there as well with an Invis rune. They're scouting it all out. They can take the fight that they want. Force Staff up onto the high ground, but it's still going to be Clockwork caught and most likely killed. The Witch Doctor ulti coming out as well. They've got the Void and Universe going to fall.
Makes it a much. I mean, it's much easier game for VG to play because of the advantage that they have. They've Gem now on Sylar as well on top of the Abyssal Blade, so he's going to be hunting for Artur at all times. And the little vision that EG does have, the defensive vision that is starting to get dewarded. They did play some aggressive wards, but those aggressive wards aren't going to do anything at the moment.
And the top lane's going to be pushed out here as well by Yang. They can go for a slow siege if they want. They've also got a ward down right there next to Sumail on the Jakiro.
This next fight is probably EG's final one.
Oh, Fear. He wants to run away. They do manage to get an Ice Path to try and turn this one. Now, can they get a Winter's Curse off? No, the silence is already there. Sylar pops the Manta, jumps away. They forced out the BKB for Arteezy, and that might be enough to stop them from going any further forward. But now with BKB down, there's not a whole lot to stop them.
So at least they use the BKB. They don't lose anybody, but
yeah,
fully defensive BKB, they get no kills out of it.
Universe dreams of a Aghanim Scepter. They do see the Bloodseeker. There's the Diffusal Blade as well. Okay. BKB popped though, and he runs away. Great hookshot coming in from Universe. But you have Night Stalker over on the other side. The charge comes through. The silence is going to connect onto 3 or 4. Sylar jumps forward as well. He blows up Arteezy. He's going to go down. And now the coconuts are bouncing back and forth. They get the cold embrace, but to no avail. It's going to be Sumail as well falling. They've caught themselves crit, and everybody from EG down.
Yeah.
Good game called.
Yeah, the next fight had to be like the last thing. Just they can't really fight into the anti-mage. They can barely kill. They have to commit so much to kind of kill one hero. And I mean, I feel like this is like the story of this tournament so far. It's like lose lanes, lose game.
Yeah. So is Bloodseeker the answer then? It's on the winning team both times?
It's a pretty dominant laning phase hero, especially when you have like this, when you have pressuring lanes like this Night Stalker Pugna. He's able to just get thirst stacks so heavily, and yeah, it's seeming pretty damn good, at least in this series especially.
Yeah, I think that it's sort of also paired together with the anti-mage in that game. It made so much space, like you were talking about at various points in the draft. And
yeah,
I don't know. I guess thinking forward to game number 2, do you go with a little bit more orthodox draft? Was it really the draft that was the issue for EG?
It was probably a little bit onto the draft. It just they wanted the Jakiro to come out ahead in the laning phase. He dies like 2 or 3 times, and from there the game just feels extremely difficult for EG. So maybe some slight adjustments.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to go and see what the panel thinks, if it's going to be a Bloodseeker first phase ban or if it's going to be something else. But we'll be back in a little bit with game number 3. But for now, to the panel, and first, an ad break.